He was a big personality, and he was always the life of the party, always made you laugh. He was a lot of fun to be around. My best friend went to college at the same college he went to. He had already graduated, and he was DJing up there. So I went up to request a song, and he said, "Sure thing, Buttercup," and he just stole my heart right there. We had a beautiful marriage, and I attribute it to the laughter that we shared, and you know, he just made everything fun. So his dad died of lung cancer when he was 61. He was a heavy smoker, and you know, there was heart disease on his side of the family, so Ray was terrified that it would happen to him. So he took care of himself. He was running 6 days a week. He ran 6 marathons. So after his dad passed, he ran I believe it was his second marathon, and he ran with a shirt that said, "For the big guy." He did not want to wind up like his dad. And when Ray got sick, he kept saying, "I just want to outlive my father." And he never got a chance to do that. So it was sad.
Ray was my father. He was honestly one of my best friends. I was one of the ones who came home and found him on the floor. My dad's always been very healthy. I've never even seen him lay around and take a nap. So earlier that day, I actually saw him taking a nap. I thought it was a little strange. And I was like, maybe he needs to rest. I came back from work a few hours later, and my brother was on the floor with him, and he said he wasn't able to communicate with him. So that was the scariest moment I've ever experienced. That was when it all hit me that something was wrong and things were about to change.
I got the diagnosis, and I was in the hospital. He was being released from the hospital. We were going home, and I got his discharge papers, and the papers said glioblastoma on it. And I literally had my back up against the wall outside his room, and I sunk to the floor. And I couldn't believe it. And I just knew. I was so scared at that moment. I think it was the scariest I've ever been in my entire life.
He was my hero. He was the absolute best, always the funniest guy in the room, and was our absolute rock through anything.
He was a great dad. He loved all of them unconditionally. He instilled the love of sports in them. Ray played football for college, and the 2 younger boys played rugby for their colleges, and Lauren was always a great athlete. It's all because of him, not me. Not me, it was more him.
From sports, he developed that, really tough-minded mindset, and he carried that with him every single day from, day one of his diagnosis until, he left us. He could have kind of thrown the white flag in, and he never did once, and that allowed us to really be strong around him.
GBM does take a big toll on the brain, and even though it's not changing anything in his heart, it didn't change the person he was, his brain wasn't always consistent all the time, so I would notice those things. I expect my dad to be always logical, he always has the answers, but that wasn't always the case when GBM came through.
Ray was always very smart. He was educated. He read all the time. He watched TV. He knew what was going on in the world. He used to use these big words, and I'd be like, what does that mean? And to watch him struggle to get a word out of his mouth was really difficult to see.
I just want to be alive with my family. You guys are the best, you really are. You, I'm a 1-1. You've been so good.
You're the best.
So I guess social media, Lauren saw a thing to run the marathon, and she came up to me and she said, "Mom, this organization raises money for brain cancer. They're giving out bibs for the marathon." So I said, "Lauren, do it. Put your story in there. You are going to get chosen. I know you are."
Lauren Martin is lacing up her shoes and getting ready for the run of her life. Lauren Martin is running this first marathon for her dad, and in the process is raising money for a group called StacheStrong, which funds brain cancer research and has helped her and her family engage in this battle.
Lauren ran the marathon twice for StacheStrong, and both times she wore a shirt that said "For the big guy." Now it's for her dad. And last year, Terrence ran for his dad with the same shirt that said "For the Big Guy."
It's really special to be part of StacheStrong. As a whole, StacheStrong really means just a community of fighters and people who love their families and will do anything for anyone going through GBM.
You know, I didn't think Ray was going to live a year, and he lived almost 2 years. Don't believe what the internet says. I believe his positivity kept him alive a lot longer than he probably should have. He and I had spoke about, you know, what life would be like if he, you know, if and when he, well, when he dies. And it was very difficult conversations. I grieved mostly during that time that he was sick. I just said, I don't know how I'm gonna live my life without you. And he said, you have no choice. And he said, you're gonna do great, and you know, everything's gonna be fine. And he said, I just want you to be happy and enjoy life. And I said, I will. I said, I will.
He loved the beach. That was his getaway every weekend after working all week. By the bonfire, the beach was his happy place.
It's an awful disease. He handled his diagnosis with grace, positivity, and determination. And he did that for 23 months until he passed. He was the funniest person I had the pleasure of knowing. He made me laugh every day. I feel his presence all the time, and I know he's proud of us. I really do.